Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new fun idea on how to combine a few of the newly released die sets to create a memory keeping layout for your next story. So how about you join me? Welcome to today's project. Today I want to give you a fun idea on how you use the newly released die sets to create a memory keeping layout. And today I'm going to put my focus on the climber flower die set, the branches and berries die set, and the creative edges scallop die set. So I'm going to start by first of all prepping my cardstock, and I'm using the double adhesive paper just to make sure that my cardstock is ready and it's easy to create my layering flowers. So I am using shades of red and pink and orange because the pictures that I want to document, my family is wearing the same tones of shirts. So I've put cardstock from my stash with those colors, and what I'm going to do is I've cut them to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so an A2 size, and I'm just gonna back them, or I am actually gonna cut pieces of the double adhesive paper to fit to that size so that I can glue it to the back of the cardstock. And it's super simple. You're gonna see that all I'm doing is just cutting the pieces of the double adhesive paper. I'm gonna literally peel the one side of the paper and glue it to the back of the cardstock, and then I can easily go and take my papers, use the dies, and then I can peel the second part and just help me with the layering. It's just gonna make it like peel and stick. Think of it as stickers. So this is a must if you want to create the layering florals in a really fast way. So like I said before, I am using the climber flower die set. It's one of the newest releases, and I love the fact that there's a movement, that the die creates a cluster already in by just playing with the shapes. So I'm starting, like I said, just following the guide, the layering guide, and I'm cutting my pieces using my small die cut, and I'm just gonna take my time to cut all the pieces before I glue it all together. And by having the double-sided tape behind my cardstock, like I said, it makes it, think of it as stickers, peel and stick, peel and stick. So it's easy to mass produce your florals. And I'm gonna over create florals for what I have in mind, but I just had fun, and since I had the cardstock outside, I'm just gonna create as many as I can, and then I have them ready for a future project. So you're gonna see that I'm taking my time just to cut my florals. I'm just gonna show you the flowers, and I'm gonna die cut the leaves after outside of the camera. But once I have my florals in place, and the beauty of this die is that it comes in separate pieces but in a set, so you're able to cut all the pieces of the lighter color at once, and so on. So you're gonna see how simple they come together. There's 3 pieces in each of the florals, and very simple. If you follow the layering die and you follow the position of the florals, it takes no time. So I'm just taking a little bit of glue because my first layer of paper, I forgot to add the double adhesive tape, sorry, not foam adhesive behind it, so I just need to add some glue. And then I'm just following the layering guide just to put my floral together, and the flower has this little tip in one of the petals that is the perfect way to just line everything in place, and it takes no time. Like I said, it's peel and stick. Think of it, if you want to do a mass production, then this is the way to go. So you're gonna see I'm just gonna create my floral. The last piece on the larger floral, it actually, the largest petal, it comes in 2 pieces. So you gotta make sure that once you create the one side, the left hand side of the floral, then you go and add the small piece just to create that dimension on the small petal. And then all I have left is to die cut the little pistil that goes in the middle or the center of the floral, and I'm just gonna use some yellow cardstock for that. I want to keep it kind of tropical, the colors that I'm using for this layout. And the floral itself has a little notch where the little pistil fits. So very simple. It's a really fun flower to build. Now here's the fun part, is creating the leaves. And the way the leaves are set, There's leaves, there's the branch, and there's the detail. So once you cut the leaves, then you're gonna cut the branch, the darkest color. I'm gonna say the second darkest color, and that's once you glue it, it's gonna give you the little shape of the branches and the leaves. And then you have a third part, which is the darkest one, and that's just gonna create the little detail, make it really pop, give you the dimension that you're looking for. And you gotta be careful because there's a little tiny piece that is just gonna help you with the little I'm gonna say the little branch that holds the smaller flower. Now this is what I said, these are really fun because you're able to add a second leaf to that little cluster that I'm creating by just gluing it to the back of the piece, and you can move it around. That's the beauty of it. But then because of the way it is designed, the little branch already comes with the little pieces that you can attach the flowers to, so it creates the cluster. It takes a lot of the guessing game as to where you're gonna position everything. All you have to do is literally, the little flower already has the notches that fit into the branch, so it makes it super simple, takes the guessing game away, and you're able to create your cluster. So I have my florals, but I want to actually also add some fillers to that, and for that I'm using the branches and berries die set, and I'm going to use just plain brown cardstock to cut some of this. I want to make sure there's like a difference in colors between these two, and that's all I'm gonna do for now. I'm gonna set it aside. The format that I'm using for my layout is actually large notebook. This is a Heidi Swap notebook from her chapters line, and the pictures that I have, that's my uncle, my aunt, and my little cousins. Well, there are grandkids, and but I'll talk about more about the story because it's actually really nice. But before I do that, I want to create edges for my layout. I want to kind of frame the pictures, and for that I am gonna use the Creative Edges Scallop die set. And the way I'm gonna go about it is I want to bring some of the colors that I have into the florals into the frames. So I pull a piece of paper from the white with the little green polka dots, that's from Living Your Dream, and then I'm gonna cut a second scallop from another paper from the Enjoy the Journey. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna start with the white with the green dots. This one comes from Living Your Dream. I've cut it to, my notebook is 9 inches in height, so I'm gonna say this is a 4-inch wide by 9 inches. So I'm just setting the scallop edge, and I'm gonna make sure that it's right at the end. And because it's longer, I'm just gonna make sure that I make a continuous line. So I have to make my first cut, bring it out, realign the die, and just complete the line. Now to create a little scalloped detail within the scallop, all I'm gonna do is line up the edge of the scallop die to the center where the scallop goes into the paper, and then I'm just gonna line the edge right there, and that's gonna create the little scallop dot detail into my die. Same thing, because it's such a small not small, my format is a little bit larger than the die, I'm gonna have to do a repeated die. So I'm just gonna take it one time, run it, and then come back and continue the cut. And I did that for the two sides of the green paper, and then for the pink I just did the scallop edge. I am not gonna add the dots. So now that I have them in place, I'm just gonna layer them, and I'm gonna glue them right at the ends of my notebook. So one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. I am layering the pink paper kind of corally underneath the polka dot one. I'm gonna say the dotted one, the dotted scallop. So you're gonna see the little shades of pink popping from behind the little dots, which I love. And once I glue them in place, I'm just gonna cut the excess at the ends. Once I have that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and glue my pictures. I am using a piece of vellum behind the black and white pictures, and then I'm gonna use a piece of paper from this is the Fuchsia Soiree paper pad behind the color picture, just because it has those shades of red that I'm looking for. And the pictures I'm documenting. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit of the story. That's my uncle and my aunt and their grandkids. Like, we all are suffering through the pandemic. They actually had COVID, and we were lucky that they came out unscathed, because the people that, my uncle contracted it at work, and a lot of people died at his job, unfortunately, but he made it through. but that meant that he had to sacrifice seeing the kids for over 6 weeks, and the kids live 2 houses away from them. So this is the first day after receiving 3 negative COVID tests that the kids were able to come back into the house, and my cousin took all the pictures and sent them because we're really close. So I wanted to document in my gratitude journal about being thankful that they beat it and they're together again. So that's my story, and I just wanted to share because, we have to see the rainbows behind, these pandemic clouds. So now that I have my ideas cemented and my pictures are already in place, I'm going to work in the title before I set everything in place. I am bringing for this a piece of really heavy cardstock, and I'm using the Red Sunset Slim washi tape set, and I want to use the colors that I have on the floor. So I'm going with the orange, the pink, and the corally tone, and I'm just stretching them along the entire width of the piece of cardstock. This is a 2 1/4 inch strip by 12 inches, and I'm gonna cut my title out of it. I am using the fine alphabet die to cut the letters, and I cut the words happy and together, but I'm only gonna use together. I thought it was too heavy once I put it on the page. So I took it off camera, cut everything in place, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just set everything right now, just glue it all together and assemble the page. And having all the pieces ready to go made this super quick to go to put it together. So you're gonna see right now I'm just gluing the pictures in place, making sure they're straight. I'm gonna make sure that the larger picture, it sits right at the same level as the 2 pictures at the bottom. Think of it as creating a grid. And then I'm gonna use those clusters of florals that I created, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue them to the borders. I'm gonna create a large cluster at the bottom right hand side of my layout, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna combine a lighter shade of pink with the darker one, just to bring some of the colors my aunt and my uncle are wearing. So I'm gonna just put it in place. I'm gonna bring some of the branches, those brown branches that I cut using the branches and berries die set, just to bulk up the cluster and bring, just kind of not make it so tropical, just to tame down the color a bit. And forgive that you see my head, I just had to lean over the notebook to make sure that I had everything in place. And then I'm going to create a second cluster on the top left corner of my layout, so on the left hand side of the layout, on the other side where I have the color picture, and that's just gonna balance the 2 edges. Think of it as a diagonal design. So by adding the pictures on the other the cluster on the other side, it's gonna help me balance the layout, and at the same time it's gonna kind of complete the grid look that I'm going for. I'm just kind of replacing, instead of having the 2 pictures, I have the larger picture, and by having the cluster at the top left corner, I'm just balancing the layout so that it fits, it makes it symmetrical in the page. So simple as that. And again, by having the double-sided tape behind the die cuts, it makes it super simple to just peel and stick. Like I said, it's like creating stickers at home from your die cuts. So I'm just able to peel and stick. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra adhesive behind some pieces just to make sure they don't move. And again, I'm gonna add a few more of the little berries and branches die cuts, just to bring some of the brown that's also in the pictures. Once I have that in place, I'm pretty much gonna go ahead and start working on my title. And like I said, I cut the words happy and together, but I'm just gonna use together. And instead of using happy, I just need to kind of neutralize it and bring some of the black that I have in the black and white pictures. So instead of using the happy, I'm gonna put the word together using the letter die cuts that I created, and then the word again. And for that, I am gonna use the alpha stickers, the Puffy alpha stickers from the Living Your Dream collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my glue pen from Altenew and just add the word together underneath the color picture, and then I'm gonna come in with the little Puffy stickers underneath the word together. And all that's left to do, you're gonna see, is I'm gonna add my lines of journal on the opposite side of the title so that it goes around the same level, and that's just gonna create my little I'm going to say kind of a grid on my paper, and it balances all out. All I'm doing right now is just adding a few puffy stickers that I have in my stash that had hearts that were the same color of what I have on my layout. And then I'm gonna add another sticker that says this story in between the pictures, just because I want to bring a little bit of interest. I think that when you create a double-sided page, you also have to consider that each page on its own has to work as a layout, and together, when you put them together, they'll balance each other out. So always have that in mind. When you create a double-sided page, think of it as each page has to be a layout on its own, and together they have to balance each other out. So that's what I'm just adding a subtitle. And that's about it. I just added a few enamel dots and completed my layout. And I hope you like it. I hope you try it. I love using die cuts and dies to create my layouts. And as always, you can find more details in the blog. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.